Good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure be here with you to enjoy with you our achievement in Mozambique in matter of civil society organization with the parliament. So during the first mid evaluation in TWC, it was identified that the civil society organization has a relevant component to the parliamentary strengthening. Working with the CSOs, it helped to strengthening the dialogue between parliament and citizen. The non-inclusion of this component would undermine the program, especially in the strengthening dialogue between MPs and citizens. What we did in Mozambique, TWC introduced short training course for CSO and media to them understand how the parliament function and how they can link the parliament, or how they find the correct and perfect time to interact with the parliament. And although the program entered into partnership with the local civil society, it was a strategy to approach the local civil society to the parliament. Because before the WFD intervention, there was a weak linkage between CSO and the parliament. And before the WFD intervention, the parliament were a very close house. The link between parliament and CSO was very, very low. And in this matter, there was a lack of parliamentary advocacy. The civil society the civil society engaged in this period, engaged more with the government than the parliament. So after the WFD intervention, we are now we have many CSOs engaged now with the parliament, and there are now cases of the committees working together with the CSO in certain issues. And in example, we have the CSO that interacts with the committees on the natural resource, because this is the big issue now in Mozambique, and the CSO is helping to the parliament to deal with these issues. So we also see the CSOs and MPs sharing information, and that information helped the MT to make them working or like oversight and other issues. So this is an example that we have achieved in Mozambique. So we have, in terms of lawmaker, CSOs working with the parliament, for example, on the Right to Information Bill. They gave input to the parliament about this issue, and the outcome is the Right to Information, the Right to Information Bill, with the contribution of the civil society. And on the other side, in terms of monitoring of the implementation of laws, the CSOs and the parliament, they went to the Moamba. This is and districts, some districts in Mozambique. So there were a trouble that was needed the interview of the parliament. So the parliament didn't know what was happened there. Through the CSO, the parliament know what was happened there, and then the parliament and the civil society organization went there to see in the field what's going on and find out how to resolve this problem. And the other way, here's a channel for consultation of citizens and political advocacy. The parliament with civil society held in public hearing across all the country in the context of this building to collect the point of view of citizens, how the law will come better. So to approach civil society and parliament, WFD taking over some activities that is here. The first one is the training CSOs on the role of MPs. This training was delivered by the PSC trainers. I am the one of them, and the achievement of this training was to deepen the knowledge of the CSO about what's the parliament and how can they access to the parliament. The other training was delivered by Tom Scotto and Todd. It was delivered to the Education for All movement, which led them to the redefinition of advocacy strategy, and they did it, and by this training, they raised them strategy to advocacy, and they now are working together with the parliament. So thanks, Todd and Tom. In the other side, we had a public hearing that I mentioned earlier, and the workshop on the environmental issues that MPs and clerk of the committees of social affairs, gender and environment held this workshop to improve knowledge of that committee on environmental issues because of the boom of natural resources that I told. And by the other side of this workshop, this committee make a draft of solid waste management bill. So lesson learned. In Mozambique, we learned that to strengthening, to approach parliament and civil society, we have to be simple and objective, and we cannot impose them what do they do, but we have to do with them what they want to achieve. And the civil society straightening should not escape from the parliamentary agenda, because issues out of the agenda may lose interest of MPs, because they think that, oh, man, you want us to do what you do. We don't care. We need you to help us to achieve our objectives. So thank you, everybody. It was a brief experience of what WFD does in Mozambique to approach civil society and parliament. Thank you.
Very much. Next up, we have Volodymyr, who will speak on the Ukrainian. Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Volodymyr Sherbachenko, and I am working for East Ukrainian Center for Civic Initiatives. Please excuse me for my not perfect English. This is not my native language. Okay, and my role here is to present you an example of successful cooperation of CSOs and Ukrainian parliament exactly on sphere of public access to official documents, and precisely I am going to speak about access to city planning documents such as master plans and detailed plans. The problem is that this type of documents in our country still from the Soviet Union times under the stamp for official use and state secret. And for those who are browsing internet right now, you see on the bottom the website City Planning UA, so you can browse and find more information right now in English while I'm still speak about this. So I am working for non-governmental organization which cooperate with other NGOs and CSOs around Ukraine, and this is a national issue which concerns more than 31 million Ukrainians who live in urban areas, in city towns. So why is this problem for all these people? Because actually we still don't know what, where, and on what terms construction will occur. So we have no information about construction rules, zoning, city boundaries, available plots for construction, changes of zoning and city boundaries, and how the green spaces will be changed in city. Not all this information available for Ukrainian citizens. So, and this is only one of the problem, only one part of the problem, and I ask you to help me with others. We have quite a diverse representatives here from different countries. What do you think it means? Corruption. Exactly. Unequal access to public documents means corruption because there is no fair competition for businesses. And if you connected with mayor or other people who have access to these documents, you just have them for free. In other cases, you should come and pay and beg. And in some cases, you have these documents. In others, you don't. And it's not only hurts businesses, but it also hurts us as a citizens because the final price for commodities and for services are also increase because businesses include these prices in a price of services and commodities. What kind of problem is this? No ideas? Construction next door. Safety rules. Exactly. This is unlawful building construction, and it's also connected with inaccessibility of city planning documents because we as citizens cannot have access to these documents and cannot be sure on which condition construction will happen. So there are a lot of examples that when buildings are built without sanitation guidelines, with violation of construction and building codes, with violation of safety codes, fire protection, and actually it may lead to compromise with our right to life. What problem is this? Pollution and does it happen in your country when something built in green spaces or former public spaces, when public interests are violated? So it's also connected to the access to public documents because such business facilities and even harmful business facilities can be built instead of open public spaces. There are a lot of cases also in Ukraine where right to peaceful enjoyment of possession are violated because master plans describe where buildings happens, and there are a lot of cases reported when property, land plots, or buildings are taken without fair compensation. So another problem is unaccountable government because of inability to control local government from citizen side, and government, we don't know is government committed to adhere master plans. So we want to change the situation, and we're happy to be able to participate and in the trainings and other activities provided by program. So four of us were trained on effective engagement with Parliament of Ukraine, and we used again knowledge to develop several policy papers, and one of them is look like that. This is a cover page, and actually it was a report how comprehensive city plans in Ukraine are classified for limited official use and what consequences it has for society. So actually in this policy paper we explore how newly adopted law on access to public information is working, and is it really make official documents available for citizens, or there are some problems, and we really find that a lot of problems still exist, and we need the support and support from the parliament to solve this problem. So the findings of this report were presented during the roundtable attended by representatives of Ukrainian parliament, government officials, lawyers, and CSO representatives. There are some pictures here, officials talking, discussing. This is a part of a bigger campaign, but exactly this roundtable and paper they had the good results, and one of them is an order of first Prime Minister of Ukraine, which calls several ministries to consult with public on procedures for improving public access to master plans. You see how the documents look like, and here it's for order for state security services, for the Ministry of Justice, for Ministry of Regional Development, and others. One of the reasons why master plans are classified because they include large-scale maps, and these maps from the Soviet past of our country consider it as a classified document, and the Ministry of Defense are responsible for these documents, and it's really difficult to push these people to start declassify this. And actually, after the order of first Vice Minister, they started this work, and they are developing methodology which allow to evaluate is it any really secret information contained in a large-scale maps or not, and they should finish this work until the end of June, and they have 1 month more for adaptation of this methodology, and I believe at the beginning of August we will have a procedure which allow to make these documents for 31 million of Ukrainians more available. Except of this, we have some changes in legislation, and government approved changes to the law on access of public information and on regulation of urban planning activities. And in these changes, there are some procedures which prohibit to government to include information for official use or master or secret information in master plans at all. So it's also done after we do these activities and after the participation in the program. And so the parliament adopted the law in first hearings, and but after that it's stopped for a while, but we still believe that it should be approved. Outcomes of our participation in TWC program. It's encouraged further cooperation among interested parties, including cooperation with Ukrainian Parliament Commissioner on Human Rights. It attracts Parliament's attention to our problem, I mean to the problem of annexability of master plans. Help to eliminate shortcomings of new legislation, amendments to FOI law were made, and we increase our understanding how we can be involved with Parliament, how we can cooperate, gain actual and practical experience about how to collaborate with Parliament, elevated our credibility and status with members of Parliament and representatives of state institutions, and created stronger coalition. So this is logo of our campaign, and I would be happy to answer a question later, and you can find more information on our website. Thank you very much.
And last but certainly not least, Boris Niuzazi will discuss the program developments in Georgia.
Hi, everyone. I guess I'm a last presenter, so I would like to thank the previous presenters for the interesting presentations. And I will be talking about the two programs actually we've been running in Georgia. I will just briefly touch on the program that was implemented within the frames of TWC. And then I will talk more about the ongoing EU-funded program of civil society development that was actually developed based on the information and experience we gathered during our work with the Georgian Parliament. So the 4-year capacity building program in Georgian Parliament was primarily devoted to capacity building of the Georgian parliamentary staff members and parliamentary journalists. And this was done through different sets of trainings, outbound study visits, and local and international workshops. Within the program, we concerned actually 4 thematic areas, as it was done in all other 6 countries. These areas were parliamentary process and management, rule of law and human rights, financial oversight, and access to information. So as a result of the program, in total, about 160 staff members participated in different sets of trainings, and about 50 journalists were trained on effective parliamentary reporting. Within this program, we had our local and British partners comprised of actually 12 government and non-government organizations who were jointly delivering capacity building activities to the beneficiaries. Here I just decided to single out one concrete activity out of tens of activities carried out throughout TWC program, which is work on developing institutional development plan of the parliament that has actually greatly, I think, contributed to our successful participation in competition for the grant that EU has allocated for developing civil society organizations in Georgia. As our local partner, Alexei Alexishvili talked, gave you some information about yesterday. In 2012, the former government of Georgia took a political decision to move the parliament from the capital to the country's second largest city, Kutaisi. So before this move happened, actually, there were lots of uncertainties for everybody, us, donor organizations, parliamentary staff members, and in general, Georgian people, because the conditions of the next parliament were not clearly articulated by the parliamentary leadership or the authorities. It also became clear to us unofficially that a big percentage of people working in the parliament were not able to move to Kutaisi because of the various private reasons. It was, of course, creating lots of risks for us in terms of wasting resources on programs, resources on people who might not be working in the next legislature. And then we kind of took a proactive, step and encouraged the parliamentary leadership to react on this situation and start thinking about developing an institutional development plan that would cover at least 18 months, as it was eventually agreed on, and that would also include the part on smooth relocation of the parliament to Kutaisi. So the one and the first and the very major kind of component of this process actually started with the needs assessment done by our local partner, PMCG, in different areas such as lawmaking, parliamentary oversight, human resources, external and internal communications, as well as public participation in policy-making processes at the Georgian parliament. And PMCG used interviews as a tool in this process. MPs and senior parliamentary staff members were interviewed. And here, actually, I want to talk about what the results of those interviews were in regards with the public participation in the policy-making processes at the Georgian parliament. As you see, majority of respondents noted that Georgian CSOs lack relevant qualification and expertise to practice effective cooperation with the Georgian parliament. They also said that Parliament uses services of local consulting companies and individual experts, and which are pretty expensive and often cannot be afforded by the Parliament, thus greatly rely on donor support in this area. And they also noted that although there is NDI supported and sponsored unit, which is not the Parliament's organizational structural unit yet. It's rather a program that is run by NDI that is organizing and organizes meetings of CSOs with the MPs on actual pieces of legislation. They are not really addressing the issues and the shortfalls of CSOs and their capacities. And there were also a number of surveys actually conducted in this area, which showed that Georgian CSOs often face difficulties in practicing evidence-based advocacy of their policy positions that might certainly limiting their chance and ability to effectively participate in policy-making processes at the Georgian parliament. So to fill in these gaps and address those shortfalls, we developed a program that is fortunately is being now sponsored and supported by European Union within the frames of European Neighborhood Policy. the main objective of the program is to improve the quality of CSO's policy dialogue with Parliament of Georgia, and more concretely, we're aiming at improving CSO's research and advocacy skills, as well create opportunities for them to engage the MPs and the legislature directly. So we chose to continue with to continue working with our local and British partners within this program, because those are the organizations who have already gained lots of experience, got lots of information on those issues within the frames of TWC program. And these organizations are University of Essex, Tom is representing today, Thomson Reuters Foundation, and local NGO called George Young Lawyers Association, which is one of the most active NGOs in Georgia. So we're using, we call it evidence, advocacy, and access approach for this program. And from working with the different parliaments throughout 4 or 5 years now within the TWC program, we know that CSOs cannot engage the legislative or committee processings unless they have strong evidence to support their positions or have material to amend, create, or abolish certain legislations. We know that having gained the required evidence, CSOs need to be able to effectively communicate their positions and findings to the decision makers. And we also are sure that there should be an access provided to CSOs for carrying out those 2 activities I just mentioned above, for communicating and talking with the lawmakers directly and debating and discussing the issues jointly. Here I have broken down evidence, advocacy, and access approach into activities we have carried out or will be carrying out within the program. We selected 15 Georgian CSOs from different parts of Georgia who are active in those areas: human rights, local governance, social issues and healthcare, education, agriculture, and environment protection. Actually, those areas have been selected as a combination of the priority areas identified by the European Union in European Neighborhood Policy Action Plan for Georgia, and the areas that were declared as priority areas by the current Georgian government. So after selection process was done, we provided, actually University of Essex together with our local partner, provided them a training course on research methods to the CSOs, and we provided them with small grants to implement the researches on a very concrete topics they named right at the beginning of the program. So right now they're doing researches on those concrete topics, and they're expected to come up with research findings and develop a shadow reports based on the research findings by the middle of June. Here I put some examples of what these CSOs are working on, what their advocacy objectives and what their research topics are. The Partnership for Road Safety is an organization which is very active on working on road safety issues in Georgia. This organization is one of the initiators of the law that makes it mandatory to use seat belts in Georgia. So the same organization is working on, within our program, they're working on prohibiting children under the age of 12 to occupy front seats of the vehicle, because they think that there is a solid correlation between children occupying front seats and the higher death and injury rates during the car accidents. So they will be, based on the research findings, they will be advocating the relevant changes at the Parliament of Georgia, and namely to the law on road safety. And the second organization, called Anti-Violence Network of Georgia, is a organization who is promoting human rights and women's rights in Georgia. They are working on finding out whether Georgian women who are trying to establish paternity of their children through DNA tests are failing to do so because they're not able to pay for very expensive DNA tests, and this organization is targeting and aiming at changes to the existing judicial practice that would would oblige the payments to be made by the losing side only after the DNA test results are known, as opposed to the current situation where the women need to pay in order to get the DNA test results. And the last organization I put on this slide is Article 42, very active NGO who is working on promoting rule of law and human rights in Georgia. They are working on the research to find out whether entitling accused to choose a jury trial ensures strengthening of the right to fair trial and increases public trust towards judiciary. And they will be advocating for the changes to the Georgian Criminal Code. Now back to the advocacy, evidence, and access approach, and particularly the advocacy component. We will be training CSOs on effective communications and advocacy in July, and similar to this previous procedure, we will be providing them with another grants to carry out their campaigns, advocacy campaigns and strategies for Georgian people, for Georgian media, and of course for the lawmakers. And as in regards with the access component, I would like to say that we will be also creating opportunities for CSOs to engage the Georgian Parliament directly through organizing a couple of CSO open days throughout the program's life, and we will also work on providing with them with the opportunities to establish direct communication with the relevant parliamentary committees and parliament members to discuss the research findings, to discuss the issues they've found during their researches, and what their policy positions are based on those findings. And as far as lessons are learned are concerned, I must mention that this program started about 6 months ago, and selection process took quite a long time. So I cannot talk about the serious results yet. We're still dealing with this capacity building part of the program. We have not reached the point where we will try to engage CSOs with the parliament, so we cannot really talk about how successful it will be, but we hope, and there is lots of good signs that the program will achieve its objectives. And I just want to mention that it is essential to make sure that CSOs have narrowed down their advocacy objectives to the concrete research topics, because it takes some time at the beginning, and it takes some time for CSOs to sit down and think through what they want to achieve and what their actually research target should be. So by doing so, they're saving the program's time, and then meeting with potential program participants that CSOs have allocated for the program could be also useful, just to meet them in person and get insight about what their backgrounds, what their commitments and objectives are, even though this might be costly because CSOs come from, as I mentioned, from different parts of the country. I would say it's worth it. And then the last lesson I would like to mention is providing program participants with some information about evidence advocacy and access approach would help them to maybe understand the program's objectives better prior to the program, because it is covered, of course, throughout the program in different places, through different activities. But having this information before you start the program, I think would be very helpful for them. And we will be also providing some publications on those issues, on our approach, on individual components of this approach throughout the program, but still providing some brief information prior to the program would be, I think, helpful. I think this is all I want to say, and I'm more than happy to take questions if we have one. Okay.